if I could choose like one superpower, I think it would be the ability to parallel park. Like honest to God, I have embarrassed myself that many times. I can't do it anymore. It's too embarrassing.
You're also in this massive lifted Jeep. I don't think that fits in many places.
Oh no, I had to get my passport photos taken this morning, and I drove like into the parking space, and you know that, what's it called, where it's like that cement concrete block?
Oh yeah.
I drove over that, didn't feel it. Like didn't feel a thing, and I was like, what else have I hit or driven over that I haven't felt or noticed?
Hi, I'm Billie Lee. I'm a comedian. How y'all doing?
We're good. That was a great intro.
Yeah. I'm like, do I intro to y'all or to this? Or?
Have you noticed that we all change our voices for the intro?
My voice sounds like, you know, when you make an appointment on the phone and my voice goes up like 3 octaves.
Yeah.
And like I sound like I'm like in trouble with the principal's office, and then I go off the phone, I'm like, thank. Like I'm like,
same.
That's what it sounds like when I do the intro. And the rest of the podcast, my voice is completely different.
And then you went sexy.
I know. I do. I do like the phone. Yeah.
You guys like both have sexy voices. That's why I'm like, can you do the intro like every time? Please.
I know. I had sometimes, I don't know, I'll go on dates because I'm trans, and guys will be like, oh, wow, you have like a really sexy, raspy voice, or like, you have a good radio voice. I'm like, okay. And like, and sometimes they don't know that I'm trans. And like, that's like, when I say that, I'm like, okay, they don't know. And then I have this whole, my heart like sinks. And I'm like, I have to have this conversation with them.
They don't know? They could.
Sometimes they don't know. And it's like, I wish like they just knew.
But do you think they know and you can still have a sexy, raspy voice? Because I would love, I've never been told I have a sexy voice in my life. And I would.
Yeah, I love my voice.
I love that compliment.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love the compliment. Yeah, it just, like, sometimes it's a sign for me that I know that they don't know that I'm trans.
That makes sense. And they've asked you out. Like, you guys have flirted. They asked, and then you kind of realize that you have to have this talk. I am curious, how does that usually go? Or do you have...
Well, whenever... Okay, so I went most recently, I had a show in New York, and this comic hit me up on Raya. And I was like, yeah, like, I have literally on Raya just for friends. Like, I want to just hang out. I'm not trying to hook up with you. And so I met this comic, and he's actually a really big comic, and like a lot of people know him, and now I run into him all the time. It's so like weird. But as soon as I got out of the car, he was like, we started talking, and he's like, wow, you have a really raspy voice. And instead of saying it's sexy, he was like, are you sick? And I was like, no. Also, I smoked a lot of weed, so I was like, I'm like, no. And so then we go in, and he is like going up, doing a set. And in his set, he does like transphobic shit. And I'm like, oh my God. So like, not only does he not know, but he's literally doing transphobic jokes. And like, that's your thing. Go for it. Do what you want to do. But like, I was like, oh my God, I need to get the fuck out of here. Like, it was, yeah, crazy.
Did you tell him, or did you just leave?
He messaged me later on Raya and was like, hey, I had no idea you were trans. I'm so sorry. And then I was like, I don't care. Like, I wasn't trying to fuck you. I wasn't trying to hang, like, you know, I wasn't trying to date you. And then he like blocked me on there. I'm like, ew, I see you out. You're a comedian. I'm a comedian. I see you all the time, you dumbass.
Yeah, and why did he even reach out to say I'm sorry?
I know.
And then you responded very civil.
Yeah. And literally I was at the Comedy Store last week, and I was like, oh my God, I don't want to run into him. And of course, at the end of the night, I'm walking out with my girlfriends, and someone bumps into me, and I turn around and make eye contact. It's him. I'm like, ugh. Yeah. I should have been like, hey, bro.
Oh my God. I mean, that really shows that we were talking about this in another episode, because she's in a relationship, I'm dating for like the first time in a long time. And I was like, men just don't ask you questions. Like, they really don't. And that just goes to prove it. Like, they don't like ask you questions. It's just like this whole skill set has just like surpassed them recently.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like, I wouldn't assume you were trans if I just saw you. So like, I think that's what you're trying to do, right?
I mean,
Like
yeah.
you want people to assume that.
It's assuming, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's why I had $100,000 for the surgery.
Did you? I'd love to talk
I mean,
about that.
a lot of surgeries, yeah. I literally had Dr. Gavami. Do you know who he is?
I've heard the name, actually.
He does like the Kardashians. He's like a very famous, popular plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills. He's done my entire body and my face. Like, he's done everything. Like, sometimes when I go in there, because he likes, if he has new equipment, he'd be like, come in, I want to like do something on you. And he literally would be like, you guys, look at her, I made her.
In the most public, I'm staring at your nose because it's so perfect. Like, I'm literally
Gavami,
staring at
yeah,
your nose
yeah.
right now. Feel like, oh my God, your side profile's incredible.
Yeah, he's amazing. I love him. But yeah, he's hooked it up sometimes, you know, but like I spent a lot of money. I got my vagina in Thailand. They make the best vaginas ever. So that's why I went there, because normally I wouldn't want to like have a major surgery in a third world country. But it was like 5-star service. It was amazing.
How was the recovery process for that?
You know, because they made my vagina deeper, which is like what you want, so you can have a bigger dick, obviously, up in there. But my healing process was so much longer. Like, I felt like something was sitting on me forever. And I literally had this probably 4 or 5 months. I was like, what did I do? I made a mistake. I'm going to be in pain for the rest of my life. It finally went away.
Wait, 4 to 5 months of pain?
4 to 5 months of pain. It was hard for me to even like sit and have lunch with my friends.
That's why I asked this, because I don't know a lot about it, but I have heard that some people have to dilate daily.
Oh yeah, I had
the
to dilate
procedure.
too. Yeah.
And that it's like just consistently pain that never goes away. It's when is it done incorrectly, or what is the
No, if you don't have, okay, so like a cis woman, her vagina dilates. That's like when you get pregnant and you're like, oh, you're dilated. Like your vagina literally gets bigger and bigger. And when you have sex, it like gets bigger to adjust to the size of the penis.
sense? Yeah.
But for my pussy, she is tight and she likes to stay tight. So like, and some guys are like
I am healing. If you don't put anything in there, I'm healing.
Yeah, it surprises me that you drive a big ass truck or a Jeep, because you're so like cute and small.
I think I have like, what's the female version of like a Napoleon complex? I think I have that. She's like, yeah, you do. I feel like I'm overcompensating for something.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I don't know, it's my personality. I don't know what it is. I think it's like the first daughter with like no brothers. I have to feel something.
It makes you feel big when you're driving around.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Was that the most painful surgery, do you think?
Let me think. I think my nose, well, no, that was definitely the most painful surgery. But my nose was like scary because I couldn't breathe. And I had my facial feminization with my nose. So he did a lot of surgeries. Like he did like fat transfer to my cheeks. He took buccal fat out, which I feel like it's come back. He did a lip lift, the nose job. Like there was like so much happening that I just felt my face was so swollen. It was just really, really uncomfortable. And I don't do well with like taking Xanaxes. So it's like the opposite effect to me. Like I go crazy if I take a Xanax. Like it makes me psycho.
Yeah.
So I just had to tough it out, because he did prescribe me Xanaxes, but I was like, I can't take them.
How did you feel when you got home after having that many surgeries at once on your face, and you were able to kind of see the results? Was it shocking for you that your face, like the face looking back in the mirror, was different?
You mean once I healed?
I guess, or once you kind of had an idea of what it might look like.
Yeah, it was exciting. It was almost like, you know, when you get a brand new car and you like go out to your car and you see it and you're like,
yeah.
That's kind of was when I look in the mirror all the time, like for the first like few months. But I do like, it was weird because when you first transition, and I did this, I think like when I was 21, I started the hormones, and I was on hormones for like 7 years before I had any surgeries, just because I had to save the money. It was so expensive. But they want you to be on hormones for a long time so your body adjusts, and like then you have your surgeries. But when society can't tell if you're a boy or a girl, and they can't put you in a box, they shun you. And it was really hard for me to get a job. That's one reason why I had to do sex work, and a lot of trans women do have to do sex work. So I went from being this, unattractive person who I just felt so much shame because of the way society treated me. And then I had all these surgeries and I went to being this beautiful cis-assuming woman. And it was as if the red carpet rolled out for me. Like men ran to like hold the door open for me. And jobs just kept on coming in. And like it was hard for my mind to adjust to that because I was still so used to being discriminated against.
Yeah.
And being the one that never dated someone. Out of the friend group, I was always the weird one, or like my girlfriend's boyfriends would be uncomfortable with me. Mm-hmm. It was always something, and it just, for my life to change like that, it took some time to adjust for sure.
I do think about that sometimes when someone who is trans wants to transition and they can't afford to take the hormones or get certain surgeries. It does make a difference with how they're perceived by people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's devastating too. It's just like, it's so hard, but I kept on thinking and just manifesting. I had amazing friends in my life, and one of my best friends at the time, like, matched whatever I was saving, gave me $50,000 to help me with my surgeries.
Wow, that's a ride or die. My goodness.
Yeah. It was, I think she was one of there's like angels in your life, people drop in and sometimes they're not forever, which is like the hardest thing too. Just, when you have to let go of a friend that you've had for so long. But you have to just let the universe do what it's doing, because sometimes they drop in for a reason and it's not always forever.
Nothing's forever.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of life.
I know. And it allows more space for other things. And that same friend who helped me so much in a way with my transition, she was there to, wipe up the blood. Her dad flew to Thailand with me. They were there with me. I mean, they were there more than my own family was. But at the same time, that friendship also held me back in a lot of ways, especially with my career. So when that friendship ended, my career really blossomed in a way, which was weird. But yeah, everything happens for a reason.
So how did you get into comedy? Have you always been a comedian?
No, it's like so new. It's like a year and a half now.
Oh, is that it?
I know. Wow. I'm a baby comic. I feel like I jumped on this comedy train that's moving really fast and not stopping. So I'm trying to catch up all the time. I sold a pilot to ABC Disney as a half-hour comedy about my life. And my team was like, well, if you're going to be writing and possibly starring in a comedy, you should take some comedy classes. So I took this comedy course, Pretty Funny Women, and I was so uncomfortable. I hated it. And everyone was like, Billie, your point of view, your timing is so good. You got to keep doing this. And I probably tried to quit twice. And I literally had, thank God it was a group of girls, because these women were like, no, bitch, you're staying.
Yeah.
But now it's, I'm so grateful that I did it, because it's just working. And I've always been an activist. And I think that we go through things in life to be of service and to pave the way so it's easier for other people. And I always did it in such a serious way. Like all of my projects as a producer was like serious subjects, and why trans people have so much trauma and why they're discriminated against. But in comedy, I like literally get to have fun while I'm still representing the trans community, still educating people. And even like cis hetero men, like they come up to me after the show and they're like, yo, your jokes, like I feel so different about trans women now, because I do write jokes for the cis man to make them feel comfortable, because a lot of times they are confused, like their dicks are confused. They're like, holy shit.
They're confused about very basic things.
Yeah.
I found. No. Like I'm sure they're very...
Exactly. So can you imagine this? Their dick is like going up, but they're like, wait, it's like, she's one of us. She's a spy. It's one of my bits. But yeah, like I literally had discrimination against some guys. Like in the audience, you can see them. That was my hardest part about comedy, is like connecting with the audience. Because acting, it's like you don't give a fuck about the audience. You just have your, your character and then your co-star. But comedy, I had to like be with the audience. And when the audience is closing their eyes, or like the guys are like this and like so weirded out or ashamed that there's a trans woman in front of them that's hot. So that's when I was like, I need to write jokes for these dudes to make them feel comfortable because their dicks are so small.
It's a way of communicating.
Yeah.
Like communicating their language. Yeah.
I was going to ask about that because my brother is gay. And that's the one thing that he would say is from the time I was ever attracted to anyone, it was boys. Like very young age, you just always know.
I mean, if I could choose, I would be attracted to women. Like, why? I wouldn't choose to be attracted to men in any capacity. No offense, but honestly, like, that's how I know it's not a choice.
Yeah.
Because if I could choose, like, I have friends who are lesbian and bisexual, and their relationships sound a lot better than mine. But my girlfriend's like, oh, my girlfriend brought me flowers and like all these presents on the weekends, and I was like, I would do that too if I was if I was a girlfriend and had a girlfriend. Like, right?
Yeah. There are some sweet romantic guys. I don't know. I love men. Like, I date trans men too, which is like, I love trans men as well, but I love men.
Billie, do you want to talk about Jade Catapretta, like your friendship with her, like what y'all are doing together?
Yeah. Jade Catapretta is another comedian, and her and I are going on a tour starting tonight. Well, like we have our big show at the Bourbon Room in Hollywood tonight. And then, all of June we'll be on tour. It's presented by Out Magazine and The Advocate. And we're working with O Positive and Equality California. And it's called the Big Happy Comedy Tour. And it's a bunch of queer, gay people, fun people just going around and making people laugh. And I think that we need that more than ever. I always say, like, make America gay again. So I'm really happy that this is happening. We just got a really cute article in LA Times that came out yesterday. And it's all happening. It's a lot of work. I'm super grateful for my assistant. Thank God for her. I'm excited to go on this journey with her. Yeah.
This is the first time you've been on tour?
This is the first time I've been on tour. I've like done like a few different states, like to practice and get outside of LA. But this is my first time. Oh, that photo's cute. I'm going to wear that dress again tonight, actually.
Oh, that is very cute.
That's awesome,
cute.
Billie.
Wow.
But I'm it's so new to me. So I'm sure I'm going to fuck up. But even when I fuck up, it's fun.
Yeah,
it's like funny, you know?
People want to see the realness behind performances. I want to see people mess up. It just makes my night. Not in a bad way, but just having something different happen than you expect.
Yeah. Have you ever gone on a stage like wasted?
I have.
Yeah.
Not well, I used to feature dance back when I was shooting a lot. And feature dancing is you would go to different strip clubs, but like say one, they would hire you, they'd fly you out, and then I would only do 1 or 2 shows that night. So I was the feature of the night. I have stage fright, and so I would get
That's crazy.
blacked out drunk before having to go up. I would just wallow all over the place. I fell into people's laps.
They would love that.
And then one particular night, I ended up making my way back into the manager's office where I vomited everywhere.
You still had a job?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, look at her. She still had a
Yeah.
job. She could throw up over the manager and she would still have a
Literally.
job.
They're like, throw up on my dick. Yeah. Yeah, that's how it works.
Oh my God.
Have you been blacked out on stage?
I haven't been blacked out, but I was like filming for Vanderpump. And we Tom had like this pool party, and I had a show at the Comedy Store, and I ended up drinking way too much and then also doing shrooms. And then I was like, oh my God,
That's odd.
I have a show. And I literally rolled up to the Comedy Store and immediately had to go on stage. Like I didn't even have a second because I was running late. And I sit down on the stool because I like to sit down sometimes. It grounds me, and also I like to be closer to the audience. And I sat down and I was just like, holy fuck. And I just told them, I was like, yo, I just left a party and I'm on shrooms and I'm pretty tipsy. But it ended up being one of my best shows.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you let your guard down.
Yeah, I've had like some of my best shows completely sober and some of them wasted. It just depends.
Useless, wasted. Like
You are?
useless. Oh my God, the last time I drank and did shrooms was with my bunch of my girlfriends. We went to the Taylor Swift concert. 8 of us. So cute.
So nice.
3.5 hours in a party bus. And then we went from Taylor Swift concert to a strip club.
Oh, goodness.
That was like my second time doing shrooms. I was like just making friends with them all. And they were asking about the Taylor Swift concert. We just like in a little corner, like talking about like Taylor Swift and like our favorite song. It was actually very wholesome. Yeah. Club. But I would have been useless, like trying to remember lines or jokes. A couple of drinks and I'm no use to anybody.
Yeah.
I really hate strip clubs. I always have. Like, I hated feature dancing. I don't like being up late at night. I don't like loud music, and I don't like the smell of smoke. It's not the strip club. It's all three of those things. So like before I'd go on, I'd be reading my little romance novels. And then after I got off, I'd continue. I just wanted to escape into my little worlds. But it's so funny that I go out there and people think, oh, there's this really cool porn star. And I'm just back there reading my little medieval romance novels. Like, take me away.
That's cute, though. I like that for you.
You mentioned before about Tom Sandoval and Pool Party. I haven't seen any of the Vanderpump Rules TV show or anything, but I have seen like all the TikToks, which were obviously like very one-sided, which is easy to do when you know like one side of the story. Or are you able to explain that situation a little bit, because you were friends with him through that whole saga, right?
So I signed on to do 2 seasons of Vanderpump. And I think it was like 6 and 7 in 2018 or something like that, or 19. And through that experience, I became really close with Tom and Ariana. They became like my family. We literally spent all the holidays together. We would crash at their house all the time. Like, we would go to festivals and do a lot of drugs together. We called them like mom and dad. It was just a whole thing. I went back to Indiana because I like fell in love with an old high school best friend. And so I was like, I'm going to go home for 6 months and like see what happens. And he, during that time, apparently he had an affair. And like, to me, I always knew something was going to happen, because one reason why I did not want to do another season of Vanderpump is because they were interested in Tom and I being something, because there was a rumor that we were having an affair. And we were just best friends, and I just loved him. He's a Midwest guy. We both smoked cigarettes back then. I don't do that now, but it was just like a thing that, you know, we both drank Coors Lights. Like, it was just a fun relationship. And then whenever you exit or you start a new season of a reality show, especially this one, they're like, what are you doing? What do you want your storyline to be? And as an activist and all these things that I had going on, I was like, I want this and I am doing this. And they're like, so what about you and Tom Sandoval? And I'm like, I don't want to be a home-wrecking whore. Especially the trans community does not need that. Like, we already get enough shit. We're over-sexualized. The last thing we need is a home-wrecking whore on TV. And like, Bravo didn't have any other trans person on the network. So I was like, my publicist and I were very careful with that. So I said, no, that's not going to happen. So I knew that there was going to be something, you know what I'm saying? Like, I knew the producers were going to find a situation to like make something happen. Yeah. And I also knew their relationship, Tom and Ariana, like, were to me more friends and more roommate situation than lovers. They weren't ever affectionate. They're just, Tom would discuss like he never had sex. Their sex lives were very like, you know, there just wasn't one. And I'm over here talking about like giving head all the time, and Tom's like, fuck, you know, like, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. So I came back from Indiana with this whole fling, a high school best friend. And I like basically walked into this affair that Tom had. And when Ariana found out, I too was devastated. And I didn't talk to Tom for 6 weeks. I was just there for Ariana. I love her so much. And that was who I needed to be there for. And at that time, I just ignored all of Tom's texts and calls. Tom and I have mutual friends who are like his band manager and stuff, who I introduced him to. And they called me and they're like, yo, he has no one. It's really dark. You need to be there for him. Please, like, answer the call. At the same time, he was like, Billie, will you please come here? It's like, you know, he was going through it. So I went and stayed for a weekend in the house with him to make sure that he was going to stay alive. And I texted Ariana and said, hey, girl, I want you to know that I'm going there. I also was helped taking care of the dog a lot because they were both very distant from the house and the dog was still at the house. So I was like, and I'm always the person who loves dogs. Like, well, dog sit for anyone. So I told her, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go for a weekend to be there for him to watch the dog. And she said, okay, I love you, but I hate him, blah, blah, blah. Well, that weekend, paparazzi saw us together and saw me constantly leaving and staying over. And they said that we were sleeping together. So it was this whole media thing. I was followed and harassed by paparazzi for a whole month. I lost all my friends. She unfollowed me. All of my friends that were connected to her unfollowed me. And it was one of the hardest things in my life. I was so devastated. And at the same time, I had this person who was so mentally unstable. And it just made us closer, though, because we lost so much friends. And then, so then the rumors got even worse because we were so close again. And like we stayed hanging out and I would end up staying all night there all the time because he's codependent. I'm somewhat codependent and he didn't want to be alone. So I just always stayed over, which just made the rumors even worse. And yeah, I don't have any regrets, though, because I feel like I helped a friend in need. He was in a really dark place and he got sober for a year and was a really positive influence in my life and became like a brother to me. However, that friendship has ended too. And it's just like, you know, those things that we talked about earlier. It's sometimes people aren't in your life forever. And I think I was one of those people that dropped in to help him stay alive and to be healthy. And now he's on his own journey. And I feel a sense of relief, even though it was sad, you know, getting rid of any friendship. It's hard and difficult, especially when you're codependent. Yeah, but that's it. It's like literally, I was just there for a friend. Yeah. But because of rumors and the media, I lost so many friends. And I also lost job opportunities. Like, executives at ABC and people were like, oh, I want to take you to lunch. And then they would be like, yeah, so I don't agree with this and I don't agree with that. And I'm Team Ariana. I've had servers be like rude to me and say on their check or DM me later after I ate at their restaurant, I'm Team Ariana. I'm like, please tell me they didn't spit in my food. Like, it was so crazy. Bad. I'm like, I'm not the one that had the affair with him. I'm not the one that fucked him. It's Raquel or Rachel. Like, why? And I know she got a lot of shit, but like the experience that I had was just so bad and people were so mean. And then all the transphobic comments came out and death threats. It was such a crazy time.
That's so gnarly. I mean, I hate the paparazzi in general. They just like they build people up and they destroy their lives. Yeah. And there's no consequences for it. I know. Like in any other industry, you sue for defamation, and this like industry of paparazzi and media, like, they can print whatever they want with no fact checking. Like, it doesn't have to be even the slightest bit accurate, and there's no consequences for that. That to me is wild.
I wouldn't even stay all night. I would literally be like gone somewhere, and they would take a photo and like from days ago and be like, oh, look, she's in the same outfit. Like, I'm like, what? Like, it was just lies after lies.
Can you sue for that? That's crazy.
I don't think you can.
That's insane. Freedom of press, yeah. But freedom of press is just like lies.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the press is lies. Yeah.
But people believe it. Like my friends
absolutely.
at home in Indiana would call me and be like, what's his dick like? I'm like, I did not hook up with him. Like, I'm not like, you know, like it just would blow my mind that everyone believed it.
I'm kind of shocked because I don't know anything about it. I do think I'm going to watch it now because I love reality TV. But your friend Ariana, why would she believe it coming from?
Well, she went on a podcast and said that she didn't believe that I had an affair with him, but apparently she drew a boundary. This is what she told me, that anyone that's friends with him, she doesn't want to have contact with. But that was just so harsh to me because I was there for her for 6 weeks. I was trying to continue to be there for her, and I did see her like family. And it's not like I'd be like, hey, Ariana, let's go out so I can tell you about Tom. Like, I wouldn't do that. I would very much respect not speaking of him. But it's her healing process. And I've had my waves about it where like I'm like 1 minute I'm like, fuck her, how dare her, because I'm hurt too. And then, you know, the next minute I'm like, ugh, I feel for her, and you know, I'm always sending her love. It's just it's a difficult thing, but it is crazy that like half of my friend group just vanished
because they thought you were sleeping with him, and they couldn't even call you and ask you if that was true. They just assumed.
Yeah, they just assumed. And then they also, because Ariana unfollowed me, it was like, oh, well, if Ariana's going to unfollow me, I'm going to unfollow her.
It's all entertainment. People want to believe the worst because that's what sells.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And like, I don't know, we just became such great friends. Like he would come to all my comedy shows. Like I took him to a lot of comedy shows because I was trying to make him feel better. But it was nice. Like every time I got off stage, it was like my best friend was there. You know, it was just like such a. But he was in a really good place. And when I exited the friendship most recently, he's not in the best place, and that's why I decided to step back.
Yeah.
Billy, I have a question. Do you find solace in the people you've met in comedy as like, it's so nice to meet authentic, funny people who are going to like tell me how it is, as opposed to living in a world where people aren't even going to ask you what the real truth is because entertainment rules all. I find that like with all the cast members of Vanderpump Rules, like if you look at their lives from when they started to today, it doesn't look like a net positive to me. Like that they have, like it's been a good outcome in the end, because I feel like their lives are they're developed by drama, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like now you're like in comedy, you're hanging with Jade, people like that. Like, are you seeing like a big difference in your mood, anything like that?
Oh, totally. I would have so much anxiety filming reality TV. Also, just like it's drama based versus comedy, obviously. But also, I think that like if you do so many seasons of reality TV and like you're paid to be dramatic and you're paid for the drama to create the drama too. A lot of people, and I think my mother is the same way, they're addicted to the drama. Like, especially if they don't have a lot of things going on in life. Like if you don't have kids or if you don't have like a career that you're focused on. I don't know. I just find if you have too much time on your hands, you end up being addicted to too much drama or something. I mean, even reality TV, people, I literally will like, the biggest celebrities will come up to me and be like, I'm obsessed with Vanderpump. Like they love the drama because it's an escape. It's an escape of your own life.
The drama.
Yeah, people do. But it does take a toll on the people that are actually in the drama. Like,
yeah, of course.
I see like a lot of reality stars, how they've aged. Like I noticed if you notice when I first started Vanderpump to now, like people were like, what happened to her? Why does she look so different? Bitch, I went through some shit, you know, and I'm still alive. Like, you best believe I'm getting filler and Botox. Like,
I can't even imagine how draining that would be. Like, I can't even watch it because I get so frustrated with the drama.
Me too. I'm so triggered by it.
Yeah, me too. And I feel like there's something wrong with, not something wrong with me, but when like people talk about like Love Island or like drama shows, like I genuinely can't watch it because I end up yelling at the TV. Yeah. Like I'm like one of those people. Yeah. I don't enjoy it. It just makes me mad because I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, I would do this in this situation, but I just can't watch it. I couldn't imagine like living it. And I feel like there's like a fine line always between reality and fantasy where it gets blurred. And like it's just a gray area where it's like, even if you do something fabricated for the TV, like for views, for like audience retention, whatever it is, that's like a gray area where like your mind, I feel like, can't tell the difference anymore between what's real and like what's just for TV. And like you end up believing the fantasy or like the false reality you've created just for this TV show.
Yeah. It's true. And like, even like when I first started the show, I would off camera be like, this person is so cool. Like, I love being around them. Like Lala, I like loved her so much off camera. But then on camera, all I saw was like just psycho in your face, like constantly like going at you. And I'm like, whoa, this is not the same person that I hang out with off camera. So that just like blew my mind. And I think that she's, you know, obviously doing a lot of it for the show. And it's like somewhat working, but for me, it just like really blew my mind. And also when the cameras were down, no one really hung out together. Like Tom and Ariana and I really hung out together. We became like family, but like we barely saw Sheena. We definitely did not hang out with Lala at all. Never like Jax or Brittany, like none of these people. We just all went our separate ways. Until the cameras came back on. Then it was like, we're friends and we pretend work together.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So it's very much like a set, like coworkers.
Yeah, coworkers acting. It's, you know, Sex in the City. Well, Carrie, Samantha, there's supposedly a beef. I don't know if there is, but the actress, I forget her name. Do you know Samantha, the actress?
Oh my God. I'm so
I know it too.
Yes,
Kim Cattrall. Apparently she had said, we're never that close. We're just not friends, but there's not any beef. But that's pretty much what it is. Like it is a fantasy. It's just acting.
I think it's hard with like that because that's like a script. Like they're playing characters where I feel like reality TV, you are playing a character, but everyone else like thinks it's you.
You're playing like an exaggerated version of yourself. Is how I see it.
And you're attaching like your name and your reputation to the character you're playing. Like Kim Cattrall is playing Samantha, but like no one would expect her to be like Samantha-esque off camera.
Right.
But like on reality TV, it's pretty much the same thing. Like you're completely acting or like playing a hugely exaggerated version. And then the reality is...
Okay, I'm just going to disagree with you a little bit because I've had a really famous best friend who was on this hit show and everyone would come up and call her by her character and think she was her character. And I'm like, and she'd be like, that's my character. Like, I'm not really a bitch in real life. She was actually a really sweet person in real life, but it like blew me away how many people thought she was like her character.
They'll hate the actor. I say this about Joffrey from Game of Thrones. He quit acting. He got bullied and harassed so much that he quit acting because everyone hated him with a passion.
Okay, see,
apparently a very nice guy too.
See, that's good acting. Like,
yes, he's a good actor.
Kim Cattrall, like, and Sarah Jessica Parker, like they did really good acting because if they didn't like each other, like I thought they were the bestest friends. Like I was heartbroken. I was like finding out Santa is like fake, you know?
Yeah, it was.
Like,
I think
I was devastated.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you just like see everything through your perspective. I'm like, I would never attach a character to an actor, like a real life person. Like think they're like an evil king or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think because also we're like a Hollywood or Hollywood adjacent. You know, it's like it's just like here in Hollywood or in LA, I don't really get recognized. But the second I go outside of this city, even in New York, I'm constantly recognized. I'm like, wait, I'm famous. You never know that you're someone until you get recognized by strangers. But in LA, it's just like, you know, you see famous people all the time. Like we know actors, like we know it's all make believe.
Yeah.
But people don't.
That's crazy.
I wanted to ask, because I was looking through your TikTok and I saw that you had talked a little bit about Baby Reindeer, which I just watched. It is an amazing show.
Oh my God, that show. So triggering for me.
That's what you had said. Yes.
Yeah, by the way, my TikTok is like literally brand new and it's like where I go to just like be stupid. I don't know. It's like literally I just go and talk and I kind of am falling in love with TikTok. I know I'm so late to the game like everything else, but yeah, Baby Reindeer, this guy, is that my cup? Sorry.
That was good.
Yeah, this guy, he has a female stalker, which I had a female stalker. This is like even before I was famous. It was the scariest 8 months of my life. And he also was attracted to trans women. And there was an amazing trans actress that played this amazing role. And that was triggering for me too, because he was processing all of this shame that he had. And he was like so afraid to tell people he was attracted to trans women. And then he was also a comedian. So there was like so many ways that I was like, this is too much. Like I literally was closing my eyes through some of it because it was so hard to watch, but also the vulnerability was so compelling.
It was.
Like, yeah.
So what was you had a female stalker for 8 months?
For 8 months, yeah.
That's terrifying.
I know. And the thing is, like, she was small. I probably could like knock her over with my hand, like, you know. But when someone's mentally insane, you don't know if they're going to come in with a gun.
Yeah.
And like, she would never leave my apartment building area. The first time I met her, she walked into my apartment. Yeah. What? And I was sweeping and she asked for a photo. And I was like, I was like, oh, let's go outside. It's better lighting. Like, I just needed to get her out. Yeah. And then I couldn't get rid of her for 8 months after that first.
So your door was unlocked. She had found your apartment where you live.
She followed me
and
home.
She walked in and was just in there while you were sweeping.
Yeah. Did not knock or nothing. She creeped in quietly, but I was in the living room and literally saw her creeping in. And she was like shaking. And I was like, oh my God. And she looks very like disturbed. Her name's Tina, which is so crazy because when you have a stalker, I was like doing a lot of ayahuasca ceremonies back then. I feel that we attract things in life, you know, like our thoughts, whatever, attract things. And I'm like, what the fuck did I do to attract this? Like, why? It was such stress on my life.
Yeah.
And I used to joke all the time that I would call people Tina because the code for coke and crack on Craigslist is Tina. And I'm from a small town and they do a lot of drugs and meth and stuff. So I would always just joke around like, hey, Tina, let's get some Tina. Like, I've never done that, but I just joked about it. Cut to, here comes Tina, a psycho stalker.
That's
like,
crazy.
I think I literally was like, did I manifest this? Because and she faked her death and I'm not even joking. She faked her death and I cried about it, but I was so relieved that a human being died and that fucked with me. Because I was so relieved that she died. That like literally
that you wouldn't have to worry about her anymore.
It was such a relief, but I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy she's dead. But it was like mind blowing, like to wrap my head around that I was happy that a human being was dead. And then I caught the bitch creeping outside my house.
Wait.
She faked her death.
How the fuck did she fake her death?
So obviously I had her number because literally I've had so many times I've had to like text with her. This is what stalkers do. And this is why I was baby reindeer is very like true because stalkers feed off of empathy. That's how they get in. And so they would be she became like this victim in my life. And at first it was me. Then when I found out this shit was crazy, but then she went to the guy I was dating. She would show up to the apartment building where the guys I would hang out with donuts and offer them career opportunities. Like, she would just and I owned a restaurant at the time, so she could freely come into the restaurant a lot. I mean, it was to a point where I would be like, Tina, go home, stop, get out of here. Like, it just was, it was crazy. And yeah, she faked her death. She texted the guy that I was dating at the time because literally she had his number. She had everyone's number. I'm telling you, it's like the way this girl got in, I can't even tell you. And he said, oh shit, I just got a text. I guess it's like Tina's mom. And she said, Tina is in the hospital. Let me just tell you this. The reason why she said that she was stalking me, she never said she was stalking me, but the reason why she loved me is because she said that she thinks I was sent here to save her. And because she has a heart condition. And I'm like, and I saw a scar. There was like a massive scar right here. But I'm like, what are you going to cut out my fucking heart for yours? Like, what do you mean? Like, it was crazy. But so the text message that we got was like, she's in the hospital, and we were like, oh shit. And then it was like, she died, she passed away. And literally the text was like, this is her mom, I don't even know who this is, but I know she texts this number, I'm just sending you this. Like, it was so believable and manipulated, and it was all her. And when I saw her outside that time, I was enraged. I dragged that bitch all the way to her, down the street to where she lived, pounded on the door, and threw her into her mom's house. And I was like, I called the police. I was like, you need to get this fucking bitch help right now. And she went to a mental facility, and I never heard from her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The mom literally admitted her. 2 years later, this is all in Sherman Oaks, California. 2 years later, I was driving down Moore Park and I saw her and she was like 200 pounds overweight. Oh. So I hear that's a sign of like they're actually healthy because they're eating and they're on medication.
Yeah.
Because she was not eating. She was not, she was mentally insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you try and file a restraining order against her?
So here's the thing. 2 different times I've tried to file a
I know
restraining.
it's very difficult.
It's very, very difficult. And every time that I've like told her, I'm like, I've attempted to do it, she would like disappear for like 3 weeks. And then she would creep. And I would think, oh, it's over. I'm good. And then she would creep back. But if her mom wasn't going to get her help, then I was 100% going to go through with it. But it is such a process and you have to like prove to them, you have to do all these things and like get all the text messages together. Like it's a whole fucking process.
That's crazy. They can't do anything until something bad happens.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And obviously, like if it was a man coming into your apartment with like an unlocked door, people would be a lot more concerned, I would think. But like women can carry weapons and can be dangerous as well.
Literally.
But I feel like if you tell people that, they're like, oh, it's fine. It's like a woman. It's like, no, you have no idea someone else's like mental stability. You know, if they have a knife, a gun, whatever they have. If it was a man, I would have screamed the house down. I mean, it was nice that you just like pushed her out. I would have screamed. Yeah.
That's the thing is with baby reindeer, female stalkers, they get this empathy and that's their power. And I literally had a police officer tell me, and I've had multiple people, even the guy I was dating, be like, you're scared of this one? Because she's like a scrawny ass little sick looking girl. Like I think she was like in her maybe early or late 20s at the time. But yeah, that's what I was afraid of.
It's unpredictable.
Yeah, you never know. And if you think that I'm literally sent here to save you, what does that mean? Like, it was crazy. Yeah, but that show, it was mind-blowing for me. It was triggering so many ways.
I've only had one stalker, and it was a female.
Really?
Yeah. And I've seen her commenting on this podcast too. I'm gonna have to go find it because she had disappeared for a while, but thankfully she lives in Australia, and so I was never too worried about her making her way over here. But what had happened was I was on Twitter one day and she had commented something under a post and people were making fun of her, and then she was responding to it and acting like she really took it to heart. So I was in a very nice mood that day, and I go into her DMs. I was like, oh, like, they're trolls on the internet. Don't take it to heart. Flooded with 20 messages. And I was like, ooh, okay. And then I responded to be nice a little bit after that. And I'd wake up every day and it'd be 20 to 50 messages. I was like, look, I don't know how to close this DM. I'm not going to respond. I don't know how to close this DM without actually blocking you. And I looked into it and that was the only way. I was like, just don't message me again and I won't block you. 50 messages every day after that. I ended up blocking her. She continued to make new account after new account. She found me on every single account. I was streaming at the time. She'd pop up everywhere. Every time I'd block her, she'd make a new account.
You don't have jobs.
She was contacting, she was finding and contacting all of my family members. The things that she would say to me as well, like one day it would be, I love you so much, you're the nicest person. I thought what we had, like she had some sort of mental relationship with me. And the next day would be, I'm going to kill myself. This is all your fault. Like you're such an evil person. Like I can't believe you just abandoned me. Just completely delusional.
Yeah, I haven't watched all of Black Mirror's episodes, but I watched one where it's like, don't you get, and you either gain points or like get points deducted in society? Is that in a Black Mirror episode?
Oh, yeah.
I want that, but for traffic. Like if you don't use your indicator, what do they call it here? Turn signal?
Signals, yeah.
You don't use your turn signal, like you get deducted. Like I want that whole episode, but just for how people drive.
Yes.
Because yes.
It's one of the best episodes.
I've seen
also,
this
I love
one.
the actress.
I think I can't believe how bad people are at driving here. I'm like, why are there not a million accidents every day?
There is. In LA, I swear there's always, every time I'm on the freeway, I'm like, oh, there's another dead body.
Yeah.
But there should be
There
more.
are more traffic deaths here than homicides, which is completely it's
you
like an
serious?
anomaly. Yes, it just came out yesterday actually, because the LAPD keeps running red lights and killing people.
Wait,
Is it?
really?
Yeah.
Car accidents, it's the second leading cause of death behind heart disease, right?
Wow, meat and cars are killing us.
That's insane. That's crazy. Okay, I want that system, but just for how people drive, because it's nuts. Like, it really is. Like, if you don't indicate, sorry, I feel very passionately about this. If you don't indicate when you change lanes, you lose points. If you cut someone off, you lose points. If you drive too slow, drive too fast, I want that social system.
Well, we're all going to be like antisocial then.
I'll
I know. It's like, I'm not leaving my house. It's too dangerous.
I'm the odd one out here. I don't get upset.
Yeah, because you take Ubers.
Even when I do drive, I don't get upset. I drive like a little grandma and people get mad at
You're
me.
the person I'm yelling at.
Yes, I am the person that you are yelling at because you are behind and I'm holding you up. But then when you pass me aggressively, I still pull up to you next to the red light.
Do you smile?
No, I don't care enough. It's just one of those things where I don't want to get stressed out during driving. It's just not worth it for me. Like I don't want to be. I have anxiety, so I am so afraid of one, dying in a car accident, and two, someone pulling a gun on me like through road rage. And so I just
No, those
let
two
it
things
go.
are very valid. Yeah.
especially in LA.
Oh, I learned that here. My ex-boyfriend, he's from Florida, and he was like, you can't drive the way you drive in Australia. Because in Australia, like, people will wind down their windows and be like, use your fucking indicator, dickhead. That's a very normal part of life. Like, every day, all day. No one has a gun.
No one
Like,
has a gun, yeah.
You wind down your window, you yell at them. If you fuck up, you wind down your windows and someone else can yell at you. It's just like a rite of passage.
Yeah.
When I started driving here, he's like, you cannot drive that way. He's like, if you drive that way in Florida, we're in California right now. If you drive that way in Florida, someone will pull a gun on you. And I was like, okay, better turn it down or get a soundproof car.
Yeah.
I got a soundproof car because I realized I couldn't turn it down. So my car is just so loud that you can't hear me yelling in it.
Yeah.
So I solved that problem.
Yeah. Don't flip anyone off. I'm like afraid to do that now.
Oh, I do that, but I got tinted windows. I do like this out the side window, but they can't see it because it's all
Yeah.
black. But I get the rage out. It's like being in a rage room.
I was literally thinking that when you said that it's like soundproof and tinted windows. I'm like,
yeah.
That's a rage room.
Oh, I do it for myself and for everyone else on the road. So I get it's like a healthy way to express my anger, but with like no one else knowing.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's like screaming into a pillow.
Exactly.
I literally just, I think I have an essay coming out in Out Magazine, and I did a whole thing about being trans in the comedy scene. And I've noticed that it's like really, it's hard for women, cis women in the comedy world, let alone trans women.
Yeah.
And I see mainly like most lineups I see, it's like all dudes. I'm like, can we, like my girlfriend runs a show called Barbies. And us girls were sitting around smoking a joint, and we thought of this show. And I said, instead of all the shows being dudes with one girl, let's do all girls with one dude, and we'll call it Barbies and Kin. And now it's a really successful show. It's at the Comedy Store main stage. I think she's currently moving.
Yeah, very cute.
But it's so cute, right? But
That
it's
is
like,
awesome.
I want to see more of that because I'm so tired. Like, do you know how bad I want to comment when I see an all dude lineup? It's all the time. I want to comment and be like, where's the girls? But I would probably obviously get shunned out of the comedy world if I did that to every single post. But I've found that there are like, people have been really, really sweet to me and really nice. The parts that I get, that I run into and I feel a bit disappointed is these older cis dudes that own the clubs. Like, for instance, like the Laugh Factory. I was on a show at the Laugh Factory that was a produced show. I got kicked off the show. And I'm on tons of produced shows. I'm being asked back all the time. I work with coaches. Like, I'm not saying I'm the best. I still have a lot to learn, but like, I know my shit's good. And I got kicked off and I was told, oh, you need to be passed by the owner.
Wait,
Passed, like he has to watch me do my sets and it has to be passed. And then I was like, what? I'm like, I know a lot of people that aren't passed that are doing comedy at the Laugh Factory. And then I was told I had to do a mic and it had to be clean because he wanted it to be clean.
What's that mean?
Clean means like if you're going to do late night TV, you have to do clean. So it's like as if it's like maybe a child or someone, anyone could watch it. You don't say cuss words. You don't talk about sexual parts kind of thing.
That makes sense.
But I'm like, it's not late night TV. It's a fucking comedy club in LA. What do you mean clean? And also, I hate when people say that to me because as a trans woman, our lives are not clean. I've done sex work. I got my man-made pussy in Thailand. What is like, how am I supposed to not talk about that? Like, literally, you want me to call it my flower? Like, I'm going, like, I just blew my mind. So, because I'm nice, I literally still posted the show and said, hey guys, I'm no longer on this show, but please go and, you know, buy a ticket because they want to sell tickets. And because I did that, so many cis women DM'd me and they're like, did you get kicked off the show? And I was like, yes. And they're like, is it because you talked about your vagina? And I'm like, well, I haven't even had a chance to talk about my vagina. Apparently, I just, Jamie needs me to prove to him that I can do a clean set. And some of the girls told me that they were kind of banned or kicked off shows because they talked about their pussy. And that he's not really into women talking about their body parts. Yet men at the Laugh Factory can literally talk about raping children and raping women and all kinds of fucking gross shit that I've heard there. And so I reached out to the same producer that the show that I was kicked off of. And I told him all this. And he was like, Billie, I can tell you one thing. There's such a double standard here. Women are not allowed to do the same thing that men are. And that was so, like, I can't just shut up about things like this. Like, if I see something that's wrong, so I'm like texting like this girl, Maria, the booker, like, I felt like, and she kept on saying, well, just keep coming back to the mic. I promise, like, you'll be up there. I kept going back, and then they would say, do it a little bit dirtier so it's funnier. And then I did a dirty set, and then literally it was as if I killed a dog. I mean, the energy in the room, and this old lady with like her board was like, no one was looking me in the eye because I said something about how I used to have a dick. I'm like, it's not okay.
That's just shocking to me. I usually, when I go to a comedy club, I expect them to be vulgar.
I know. And that's the thing. This dude is okay with men. And I have friends that's had lunch with this guy who's like try to like get in the Laugh Factory and be like, hey, what should I do? Just from the conversations I've heard, this dude is very old school. He's offended when people talk about marijuana, let alone your pussy. So that's just what it is. And I've decided, like, I'm not going to keep going back to that mic. I'm just going to use my voice and I'm going to demand better. And one day I'm going to get a group of women and some trans people, and I'm going to have a trans flag outside of the Laugh Factory just to show the owner, fuck you. We're here. Like, I just want more. Like, why don't you have, like, you have an opportunity to work with me. They call it, what is it when you develop like a comic? Like, you have an opportunity to develop a trans woman, trans comedy. Like, and I even text them. I said, hey, can you tell me how many trans people have passed at the Laugh Factory? No response. That makes my blood boil because I will always fight for trans people and make sure that trans comedians behind me will come up. But it's always such a fucking battle. Also, that rejection has redirected me, though, because I am going to spend 3 months in New York so I can explore that comedy scene because I heard it's more open-minded and there's a lot more, and it's not owned by a bunch of old cis dudes.
That really shocks me. I would expect LA of all places to be more open-minded than that. And like, I go to a lot of comedy shows. It's like a rare occasion where I hear a male comic not talk about his dick.
I know.
Like, that is like a 1 in 100. Yeah. And it just like is what it is. And like, most of these places aren't they? If they ask for ID at the door, you have to be over 21, right? To even enter. You're not doing it. There's not 10-year-olds in the audience. You're not doing a late night show. Everyone in there is an adult, and it's adult comedy for all of them.
That blows me away. That's why it really annoys me that he asked for clean, and he only asked for clean from these women because he doesn't want to hear women talk about their body parts. I mean, we're literally dealing with this in politics. Like, it's just like women are not allowed to talk about or get abortions. Like, it's the same fucking dudes, but this dude's not running for president. This dude is actually owning Laugh Factory.
But this guy, this old white straight guy, wants to hear about dicks all night, because that's what I hear.
Okay, it's like
I'm being serious.
well, it's the bro, like it's the boys club. Like, boys club can talk about their dicks and all that shit, you know? I mean, comedy is literally a boys club. Like, I've learned that, like, it's so many men run the show and so many men get booked and they're bookers. Like, it's just what it is. And trust me, all my girlfriends, cis girlfriends, are like trying their hardest, just like with this show Barbie. It's like, we gotta make a difference in any way we can, you know? But I'm excited to go to New York and just be in I love New York anyway, but just to be there in the fall and bounce around and get to explore all these cool comedy clubs.
That's really exciting. I'm glad it like paved like a new redirection way.
Yeah, it did. But I'm still going to speak about it and still let the owner of Laugh Factory know that he's a piece of shit.
I have a question. Could that ever harm your career, being more vocal about
for sure.
Yeah.
It's harming it right now. It's literally, he's probably going to tell people, don't ever book that bitch.
And then they're all connected.
Yeah,
They've been in the business forever.
But my life has never been easy, girl. I was literally born in the wrong body, raised in a very small, white, redneck trailer park town. Like,
this guy's a small fish compared to shit you've been through.
Exactly. Exactly. Being trans, the whole thing has been such an uphill battle that this dude is not going to stop me. And by the looks of it, I'm sure he's only going to be alive for like 5 more years anyway.
Good.
I mean, like, literally, I have a trans girlfriend in New York who's a huge comedian, and she's like, Billie, you know, we just have to wait for them to all die off. And I'm like, yeah, but sometimes I don't have that much time. Like, I'm 40 years old. I want to have a baby. Like, I need to make my way in the comedy now. Like, I don't have time for this dude to fucking croak. Like, but we're all 3 really positive people.
I know. Oh my God. That's hilarious. We're lovely people.
Yeah.
Wow. Was there anything that you want to plug, shout out? Where can people find you?
Yeah, thank you. So my tour is the bighappycomedytour.com. You can find the schedule, the tickets. And then also everything else, social media is at It's Me, Billie Lee. And yeah, it's a good time. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.